everybody, and welcome back to the Rise podcast with me, your host, Katie Oman, women's empowerment coach, author, book coach, and all around a fabulous human being. I created this podcast because I wanted to have a space where we talk to some really amazing and inspirational people, because as you guys know by now, I really believe in the power of stories and know they have the power to change us and change the world. So I'm hoping that this provides you another big dose of inspiration and empowerment for your day. And as ever, I have another amazing guest for us. May I introduce you to the wonderful Sandra Anderson. Sandy, thank you so much for being here with me, sweetheart. I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate you. You know that, Kate. Anyway, you're brilliant. You're absolutely awesome. I love being around your energy, to be honest with you.
Well, ditto, sweetheart. Ditto. Well, as ever, let me give you the space to introduce yourself. You tell us all about you and what you do, and I will pass you the floor.
Cool. So yeah, I've been on a journey like all of us, and I'm finally getting my story together as well. Thanks to Kate, actually. This is actually round 2 of this podcast because we was busy chatting and then life got in the way, so we took that as a test run. But it was absolutely brilliant because it was a day before doing a talk as well. So just to give you a bit of background, I've been in digital since 1997, back in the grey days and the blink tag and things like that. So before social media and all that, and selling people websites when they didn't know what a website was. That was an interesting time. I've gone all the way through of having my own deli. I've had an industry fashion magazine that launched front row seats at Fashion Week. I've been a conversion design specialist. And then I kind of got to a point where I was like, right, well, I'm working in a corporate. I got there without a degree. So I was like, oh, go me. It's one of those things that, if you don't have the right credentials, but you have the right knowledge, you just go in as a contractor instead. So, anything is possible. Absolutely. But I got to a point where I was earning money for people to spend more money on things that they didn't need. And I was offered jobs doing sort of working on betting companies and things like that, which was amazing to see their setup. Big data is great, but there was no way that I could encourage people to spend more money on something like gambling. A personal responsibility. Everybody's an adult, but not for me at all. Several health conditions, hysterectomy later, no wee ones. I had to go on a healing journey. I'd literally burnt out, found the bottom of the bottom, and then I found it again and further down. And I went back to my witchy roots, born on Halloween. So I embraced that. I was given a book, and it absolutely inspired me. And now I've come full circle again, because that's what we do. We go round and we go round and we go round. And my tarot has been my godsend since literally it's self-exploration. It's just absolutely amazing tool. I've done like a counseling course that actually I used it as my my topic to use as a tool in that kind of environment, holding space so that people can see that reflection on water of their own life. It's very difficult to see the subconscious. So I think that's where symbology and things like that come in. And now I did a talk. I had like a night to prepare, and I did a talk at a Winning Women Essex and networking event on the elements of business. Wow. So I pulled it all in, and I was half expecting people to look around at me and be like, what the hell is she going on about? Which is quite normal. But it was really well received, really, really well received. I think a lot of women in business these days are delving deeper. I think if we don't sort out our own issues, and issues come on varying different levels, but our self-worth, and what we want to project and what we want to put our boundaries in on, all of that, it's all part of the same thing. I mean, literally, it's all been perfect timing lately. I've started working with Katie, and I've started working with Serena, who's just like a mega inspirer as well. She's yeah, fabulous team. So I'm working on ProspHER, working on the marketing with you guys, and I love it. And then yeah, I've got my event, my first hosted event, which I'm going to incorporate the elements of business on the 28th of October at the Globe in Chelmsford. About 100 gorgeous women we're going to co-create. It's going to be a great space. Everyone's going to leave with tools. Everyone's going to leave with something that they need. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Wow. It's been, I always say, I hate to use this word because I think it's been really overused on like talent shows and stuff, but you really have been on a journey in your, as a woman, in your career. I think, you know, you've really, it's funny because I used to say that, because for those who don't know, I used to be a high school teacher, right? And obviously I'm not one anymore. And there was a lot of shame, I think, around stepping away from that, that came of like feeling like I'd wasted time and wasted energy. And I had to kind of make peace with it in the sense that everything is transferable. And actually, it's all part of the journey, because what I gained from that experience, I now utilize in a different way. So you can see on your journey how it's all added up to make you the person that you are and where you are right now, right?
Yeah. And I think that's that whole no regrets, that forgiveness aspect of things as well. You know, I don't have regrets, no matter what I've been through. And there's been some wars and all sorts go on, you know, and I don't have any regrets. And it's really interesting as well to see, like, so stepping back out in public, if you like. I've only just recently put my actual name on Facebook, because I also go as Bridget as Ashbourne Witch as well, doing tarot, which I should be reading at a very big festival soon. Fingers crossed. Can't tell you any more about that just yet, but yeah, there's lots going on. And or like seeing a picture of myself doing a talk with my absolutely dodgy diagram. I'm so glad that the women stuck with me. But the looking at the pictures of myself and knowing that I'm like 9 months post hysterectomy, that I've put on weight, that I'm progressively coming down in that, but I didn't judge myself. I was like, that's who I am. That's yeah. Yes, there's things I'd like to improve. You know, getting yourself out there publicly as well does have a good thing of making you sort of tweak things that you're not as happy with, shall we say. But coming from that right place and really like not selling something was really, really inspirational as well, like to myself. That I wasn't like, yes, I was promoting my event. Yes, I was promoting ProspHER. Yes, I was bigging up winning women. But I was saying to people like, you know, let's have a look at the whole conscious, subconscious, your motives, your drives, you know, and how they're all so intrinsically placed. And I use my tarot knowledge and I use my digital knowledge, because I say I live in the spiritual and the digital ether, and here I am stuck in the middle of them, you know. And it's like it's just really, it's so cool to be around a lot of, like, I've always steered clear of it because I've always worked in tech. It's always been a bit kind of, I think women weren't standing up as much before, whereas I feel like that they're taking a lot more ownership now. I don't know if it's an age thing as well. I don't know if it's being dumped in menopause.
It could be. I mean, I think obviously you gain greater sense of confidence the older that you get. But of course, we're then battling with the society's obsession with youth and beauty, and you know the fact that past a certain age, which normally comes that, you know, once you've come out of being able to be fertile, that your worth then is not seen as being valuable anymore and viable. And I think a lot of women then have to get a new sense of self and a new kind of carving out a new identity and what that looks like in that space. And also, I suppose, not finding validation in the same way that they used to. Because if we have been taught that as women, the whole thing about, you know, chasing men and wanting a man and all of this, and I know it's shifting and changing, I'm just saying from our perspective growing up, that you then suddenly have to find your own confidence within yourself. And I think that's kind of the real journey that a lot of women have to go on.
Yeah, definitely. And I've been like so I've got some amazing friends online that I've never met in person. I mean, you're one of them,
Yeah.
and it's like the space has changed. I think COVID has done a lot for people to have to face themselves. I think that I mean, it was called the Great Reset, and everyone's like, oh, we're being controlled. I mean, Jesus, you're doing a psychology course. So you can imagine what the general public would be like if there
Yeah.
was no rules. It is for people's protection, and it is about that middle path, the balance, making sure that you've got all of that working for you, and kind of like not looking at the noise as well. You're always going to have far left that way, left and far right, but it's like, what's your values? What do you want out of life?
Yeah.
You wake up in the morning, it's your decision to be happy. Nobody else's. Nobody else.
Absolutely.
And when you
Absolutely.
start owning the crown as well, as I've been calling it, I feel that the ego steps aside quite a lot more. I've really noticed that kind of that red tent vibe of not having your moon cycles, or however you refer to them, just to be polite. Once you're at that stage, it's being there for other people that are going through stuff, and you can recognize it and normalize it. And I think that makes a massive difference.
Yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely.
certainly tech has been one of the main sort of things of women saying, right, well, I can't do the 9 to 5 because that's not available to me. I mean, I've worked for myself pretty much since '97, and it's to get part-time jobs and things like that. It's not the '90s anymore. Do you know what I mean? You used to walk out of a Saturday job and into a new one.
Oh, I know, absolutely, absolutely, and I see that. I mean, I've got my eldest child at the time of recording this is 21. He'll be 22 in September, and he's coming out of university, and trying to now think about being a grown up in the world and trying to find a position that he suits him and with his needs and his interests. I think about when I was younger, and it was so much. I was saying like it was completely like free employment for all, but it certainly felt easier than it does now.
Yeah, I mean, I also think on the flip side of that, I think there's more opportunities now. I mean, it's your son that does photography, isn't it? And
Yeah,
he photographs a lot of the ProspHER events as well. And I think that's smashing as well, because it's not about, although it's women empowerment, it's women in business, it doesn't mean that it's just men, it's
yeah,
just women. It means that it's about that divine masculine as well, about stepping into that space and allowing people to be themselves and not dictating it or directing it. And
yeah.
it's getting that flow there. I'm all about the masculine and feminine qualities
Oh
within
yeah.
as well, passive, active. I know you are as well. We're very much on the same sort of wavelength when it comes to things like that, which is rare to find.
So have you
But
found then your confidence has grown throughout that journey that you've been on? Do you find that you've noticed a shift from when you started to where you are now, in the sense of that kind of self-belief and that, I suppose, self-determination? Have you noticed the difference in yourself as you're getting older?
I've noticed a difference, more so about my boundaries and the people pleasing,
Mm,
more than anything. Which I still struggle with from time to time, because I do want to do everything, and it's not because I want, like, because I feel that anyone's going to breathe down my neck on things. It's just a personal, I want this to be great, I
mm,
want to achieve this. So like we were talking a little while ago about time management and things like that, and like I shared an article on LinkedIn the other day, and it was our generation of women that are in corporate and things like that are now saying, no, I need that downtime.
yeah.
I need that space. And it's really interesting that the women are driving that as well, because the men need
Mm,
it too.
yeah. Oh,
It's not
absolutely.
it's not just the women. It's just that the guys are probably a little bit more durable, have slightly less hormonal influences on a monthly basis. Do you know what
Well,
I
I
mean?
think
So
there's also the thing that the duty of care has been placed predominantly on women's shoulders,
yeah.
generationally. So we are the ones who are expected to not only bear and care for the children, but also any kind of elderly parents, for example. The duty of care is placed on us, and it's not even like I don't think it's mostly a conversation of like, do you want to? I think it's kind of expected. So as a
Yeah,
woman, sometimes showing up for herself in professionally can be quite challenging, especially if you feel like you should be doing it all and having it all, right?
yeah. I mean, I started my first business when I was like early 20s, 18s, whatever it was, you know. But so I've always had that can-do
Mm.
attitude, and I don't want to do this for someone else. I want to do it for myself. And I love that, inspiring other people to do that as well. But it's an interesting journey. It really is.
Mm.
And I do really understand that, going around and like that, the fool's journey, as it is in tarot. And it's like you come back to that point,
Yeah.
and yet you're the same, but you're completely different.
Mm.
You know, I mean, I was
That's
kind of
so
set in stone when I was
true.
born, or dropped on my head, one or the other. We're not quite sure. But like learning to have fun with things, I think has been really important. I spend a lot of time around my friends' kids. I don't have my own, but I can give them 5 minutes, and I can have a great
Yeah.
time with my mini besties. You know, they're so brilliant. You know,
Mm.
they teach us a lot, and I'm sure you learned that through actually teaching as well.
Yeah.
You know that it's, and there's different things. I think you can choose to experience life, or you can choose to let it experience you, because it's,
Ooh, I like that.
yeah, do you know what I
Mm.
mean? It's really like, I mean, one of my catchphrases, if you like, is I am the universe experiencing myself in human form as a
Yeah.
witch. You know, and that is just saying, here's the character I'm playing. I am the ears, the nose, the mouth, I am part of the universe. And this is the character that I'm playing, and we all play different characters all of the time.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's really funny, because of that digital and that spiritual side of me. I'm really pulling the two together, and I'm like, wow, you can really see that there's this balance, like this reflection online. I mean, everyone talks about higher self and things like that, and it's like, well, we create our higher selves online. That's our avatar. We can be whatever we want. We can put out there whatever we want, and how
Mm.
we interact, and how, we're our own brand these days, and we've got all the tools to be able to do it. And it's quite overwhelming sometimes, but it is that
Yeah.
kind of,
I think that there's still, in some parts of communities and stuff, I think there's still a mental separation between the two. So I've seen that in the spiritual community. There are some that they'll use it as a means to an end, right? So it is a tool, and that's fine. But they don't
but they
seem
won't
to
refer
just,
to it as a tool.
no, but there seems to be like a purposeful and conscious pushing away of it. It's like, I'll use it, but I don't want to, like, and it's a very strange thing, and it's like it's almost seen as like spirituality is here and digital's down here. And I think it's finding a
No.
way to kind of marry the two and realize that you cannot stop progress. And we have come here to be, like you say, a spiritual being in a human body, and
Yep.
we come here to for, I believe, for a purpose to spread love and light and healing and truth. And so you have to utilize the tools that are available. And if there's social media and technology and the digital age are very much here to stay and be a constant in our lives, then you kind of have to utilize that in a bigger way to make a bigger impact, surely.
Yeah, definitely. And it is about conscious use of technology. I mean, one of
Yeah.
the ProspHER products that we've got is, we're crowdfunding for it at the moment. So please come help us get to our goals, because we'll help you get to your goals with it as
Yeah.
well. We've got ProspHER Vision, which is a AI generated mood board, so that you can actually put in what you want to visualize, what you want to see in your life, and then you're going to get like absolute guidance to get there, steps. I think a lot of people, particularly in the spiritual sphere, if you like, it's very much, they think the law of attraction is just going to come to them because they're happy. And you can put on a smile as much as you want. If you're not happy, your vibration is not going to be raised.
Yes.
And I found that to be a very egotistical space. I found that to be a very egocentric, I'm a guru, you must listen to me, this is the way I do it. Whereas inspiring people to be the best that they are, we're all meant to be individual. You were saying about that, trying to stop the tide of time, and with surgeries and things like that. Now I get it, a little bit of maintenance here or there. I mean, I dye my hair for, it is just one of those examples. But at the same point, it's like, if you want to look the same as everybody else, how are you going to be yourself? How are you going to express yourself? How are you going to create something that other people are going to want as well? And it's no disrespect to, I think if people have got things where they need to do that to make themselves feel powerful, that's great, if they're, but I do think that work starts inside as well. But again, with the digital, I mean, I love the blockchain. I love Bitcoin, but I love it from the ethos as well, that absolutely transparent space, but also the personal responsibility of it as well. And it's interesting, people moan about like AI and they say, oh God, it's going to get in the way of artists. But why don't artists use it as their own mood board? Like anybody gets to create. It's amazing. It's a brilliant time to live in. And I think people should embrace it more. I think the science and the nature coming together is a wonderful example of yin yang. I think conscious use of technology is absolutely imperative. Knowing that you're doing something for a reason, not just to get that dopamine hit. We'll do it. It, but at the same point, if you're putting something out there, whatever it is, even your opinion or your dinner or whatever it is that you want to put out there, you're putting it out there because you want to be seen as well. And it's not necessary. I think people get carried away with that. Oh, I'm going to be like a internet superstar or whatever. Yeah, great, but do you really want that? That's the other thing. It's like, Seven of Cups energy. Like, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah,
I personally, I want to live my life and have adventure and freedom and be able to work from anywhere in the world, and that's completely different from, I want to be rich, I want to be famous, I want to inspire. That's different. It's coming, and consequently, I mean, who knows what will happen in the future? But the idea is that that's not the goal. The journey's the goal, and the North Star will change.
I think it's your intention behind everything that you do, right? So what is your why? Like, and everybody, like you say, that the great thing about being a feminist and women empowerment is that we allow women to be on their own journey and, to do what's right for them. For some women, they want to be a homemaker, and that's absolutely their prerogative and their decision. For some women, they want to be a reality TV star and to be an influencer and go viral. That's up to them. But it's all about, for me, it's like, okay, why do you want to do what you want to do, right? Because
what hole are you trying to fill?
Yeah, well, it's kind of like, what is your values, your morals, your ethics? What's important to you? So for me, it's like, I know that I want to be abundant in every sense, and I want to have a bigger platform because I want to help as many women as possible. So with that comes, which comes with a certain level of fame. And I used to feel quite ashamed for saying that I want to be famous, because people then take that, I should say, like this, who does she think she is kind of energy. But again, I'm coming at it from a space of, I know why I want to do it, and my intentions are really clear. Therefore, I'm not ashamed from it at all. I think that it's all about you getting very clear on, like you say, what you want and why.
Yeah, 100%. Sure.
It's a very long podcast. There's something to do. Hang on. Hello, come in. So I'm waiting for the call. Okay, I wasn't going to go. It's fine. We'll go blind to have it's not well. So, and I'll see if I make up again. So I'll back in. Oh no, that's typical. You all right? Yeah. Okay. Dad's got diarrhea. Okay. Anyway, lovely. Thanks for jumping around. Bye. Bye. Okay. Well, please stop down then. Are we not going to do this or fucking what? Jesus Christ.
I love it. Yeah, point though, isn't it? Life gets in the way. you know,
Yes,
and
life does get in the
I
way.
think that's a bad thing as well, to say life gets in the way. Life is happening,
Life
you
is
know.
happening. This is a very real podcast. My daughter, as she's floating around, was not supposed to come back for another hour, but her father is ill, so she's now been dropped off home. So this is a very real podcast. There was part of me that went, I can edit this out, but I don't think I should, because this is what life is, right?
This is
so,
real life. And
life.
that's what I love about what we do with ProspHER as well, is that whole real women, you know, not this.
So let me just
not...
give her a bit of, hang on. Izzy, get yourself all situated, put telly on, dog can see once I finish, all right? If you want to keep the sound down, I won't be long. All right, there you go. I'm back. And we're back in the room.
Back in the room. No, that's brilliant. And that's what we should have as well. I mean, life's not just for working. You know, I'm trying to, like, I suppose my mission is to blur the lines between work and play, and leave it up to everyone else of what I'm doing. You know, I've taken on recently, among other things, I've taken on a little buddy merchandising role, which is like a posh name for a shelf stacker, but within like more brands and stuff like that. And I'm doing it because it gets me out. It's physical. It's not behind the screen. I love it. I'm getting my petrol paid to go and do my networking meetings. I mean, how much, you know, it's like looking at those pluses and taking that fresh perspective into other people. I mean, I'll go and help other people and cut up their boxes or whatever, and they're like, oh, thanks. Like, this doesn't normally happen. It's like, well, it happen quicker if we all work together, you know. And it's that kind of lead by example, not by telling people.
Yeah, but also you doing that, you could be in a real victim mode and feel sorry for yourself, going, this is not the plan, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing, feel sorry for yourself. But again, it comes back to that intention, because what you just said is great, because you're doing it to serve a purpose. It's giving you petrol money, as the Americans gas money, so that you can go and then do what you want to do. Therefore, it's like, well, it serves purpose, it will do for now, because it's allowing you then the freedom and to have those adventures, right?
It's nice to get out and about, you know. It's a good thing when and that's something obviously where I've worked online a lot. You know, getting out into the world. We've always said there's a bit of a gravitational pull to Sarnie land, you know, that people do come find me when I open up the doors, you know, and I've got like a wonderful group of friends around here as well, and a lot of healers, shamanics. Like one of my besties that we really connected over tarot when we went to I went to Ibiza, and I didn't drink a drop. I didn't go out partying, and I went on retreat. I did it for me, and I met two of my most favorite people in the world, and they're now my friends. And it's amazing to have that whole, you know, you do these things, and like that was my last bit of money at the time, and it was like, I need this, and I didn't realize how much I needed it, and how much I think mums in particular should definitely, you know, I know people don't have that luxury a lot of the time, but putting that as a priority to go away and get some time to yourself, just to get your thoughts together.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, you know, a lot of women have a lot of guilt, you know, regardless of whether, like I say, whatever your situation is, whether you're a mom or not, or you're single or not, or you whatever it is, I think women naturally come with this burden of guilt on their back.
Yeah,
and I think it's something that you have to be conscious of and be aware of, and look at what's there and why. Like, okay, I feel guilty, but why do you feel guilty? Whose story is that? Whose story is giving you that guilt? Because I guarantee you it's not actually yours. It's somebody else's story that you're just following that pattern. And it could be your mom or society or whatever, you know, the women around you, of what you should and shouldn't do. And I always say to my clients, we don't should on ourselves. We don't say that word. I don't like it, because it's toxic.
Yeah,
right?
No. Yeah, it is an interesting thing. I mean, like, it's quite interesting that you say that you're a feminist, say for instance, but I don't actually class myself as a feminist. It's really funny, and I probably am, you know, in some regards, but at the same point, it's I think that's why I like the witch label, because it just says, hey, I'm working on myself.
Yeah, but it's not witch a feminist term after all of the history with that word, and
it has been adopted by, but I think the reasoning behind that as well is that you are dealing with the wise, you know, and it has attracted a lot of the LGBTQ plus I don't know if there's any more letters on the end of that, so please don't be offended, anybody. And like that whole that you know, which doesn't say whether you're a man or a woman,
No.
even. You know, it's nobody's business what my sexual preference is. Do you know what I mean? I'm really like, oh, I'm really open about everything. You know, you ask me a question, I'll give you an answer, but at the same point, it's no one's business. No, you know, and I find that container, although that's a label, if you like, that's a label that I'm probably happy to have over and above anything else, you know. And that's just personal opinion, you know. I'm finding out a lot more. Yeah, I did an interview a little while ago about feminists, and I literally had to look up the term before I did it, because I think because I'm not out there doing the same thing as everyone else as well, I haven't encountered the same issues as everyone else.
Yeah,
you know, I might have done in a different term, but not in the societal way, if you like. Yeah, I've been in my broom cupboard, you know.
Literally.
Literally. And it is interesting, and like I always I look at people and I'm like, just be yourself, be authentic, you know. And that's one of the hardest things to do.
It really is. I mean, for me, it's like, do you have a vagina? Yes. Do you want to be in control of it? Yes. Congratulations, you're a feminist, right? To me, it's like, it's that simple.
Maybe not sometimes.
But I caveat that now, brackets, men can be feminists too, because actually feminism is about equality and equity, which there is a difference. And to say that actually the patriarchy, which is the dominant masculine energy that has been in control of society for over 2,000 years, of greed and manipulation and control, has actually fucked all of us over. It's not just about women. Women have been hurt more by it because it's predominantly men who have utilized it and it's benefited them, but we've all been hurt by it. And actually, if you start to then readdress the balance and bring it back, and I'm not saying like, so we're going from patriarchy, that doesn't mean go to matriarchy, but it's saying that
I've seen that a lot online.
I know, but feminism, what it does is it takes that pendulum of patriarchy and it pulls it back to the middle where it should be.
Middle path. Yeah, definitely. But I mean, you say that we've been ruled and controlled by men, and yet we had Queen Victoria. She was who I named my deli after, like Alexandrina Victoria. We've had a female prime minister, and I know that they're like few and far between. Yeah, I know. All right, I don't agree with who she is and what she did, you know. But at the same point, it's not to say that there's been the opportunities there if you want to give the sacrifices, you know. Queen Elizabeth, you know, just like.
Sure. But I would argue with you, and like this is turning into a bit of a debate, but it's fine because this is what we do, and it's like, and what I love about this, Sandra, is that we can have this debate, and it doesn't mean that we're going to get in our fields and have an argument, because that's what happens on social media. It's just that we're just kind of expressing our opinion, which is
I'm learning. I'm learning as well, you know.
Exactly. Yes, there have been women in positions of power, absolutely, and God love them, but they are not they're the exception. They're not the norm. Right. And
in all fairness, they are born into it, I guess, you know. I'm
there's
sure
a wonderful TED talk by there's well, she's not actually British originally, I think she's Swedish. She's called Sandy Toksvik, and she co-founded the Women's Equality Party in the UK, and she did a TED talk about, and it is brilliant. If you haven't watched it, I urge everybody watch this to go and find it after this video, because
stick a link in the
I will. I'll find it and I'll put a link, because it's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's so funny. It's all like there are I can't remember the exact figures, but it's like there are 7 corporations in the world owned by men called John, for example.
I must admit, since working at ProspHER and building up my network of CEOs, amazing women, mumpreneurs, the whole lot. I mean, there's a lot of mumpreneurs. I think that they are really ruling the small business space, which I think is absolutely amazing. But when it comes down to those like higher levels, there's not as many. And I get that. And I get that a lot of women choose to be, like you say, be mothers and things like that. But I suppose the injustice, I suppose, that I see in that is that these days you can't just be a mum, because you need, in general, you need two working people to bring in enough money to pay the bills. And it's like,
Yep.
well, you know, like
Yep.
if one of you decided to work and one of you decided to stay at home, no matter whether you're male or female, or you want to do it between you, it's
Mm-hmm.
not actually that possible. You know,
No,
well, it is, anything's possible, but at the same point, it's not that easy.
no, because the system is set up in such a way that it's literally made very difficult. I
Yeah.
mean, I met that in spades because, like I say, I've got a BA 2-1 in English and drama. I've got a PGCE. You know, I am educated as a woman. And yeah, I found myself at the age of 30 pregnant with twins. Wasn't planned to have twins. Mother Nature laughed at me. I said, I'll have one more baby. And Mother Nature went, ha ha ha, that's what you think. So, you know, ended up with twins. And yet it was not viable for both of us to work because the cost of childcare is insane. If I could have gone back to work full time, I could have worked 40, 50, 60 hours a week and just handed my wages over to the nursery provider. It was a complete waste of time. And so that's the thing. It's not just about if women want to or don't want to. It's also how is the system set up to support the women that do.
Yeah, definitely. And support the people that do, you know, as well. It's like, you know, it should be, oh, I don't know, I've been saying for years, I love the fact that we can all start our own businesses online these days, and you know, people call it a side hustle. I heard recently side passion, which I prefer so much. And if that turns into your full-time gig, great, you know. But at the same point, it's, you should be able, you know, to do the things that you want to do. You should be able to progress in your career. You should be able to progress as a mother. I mean, all these brilliant mums that are going back to work as well are also not there to raise their children. And I do agree in like socializing kids and school and everything like that. I mean, good luck to anybody that tries to home educate kids. You know, it's hard. I did it for a very short while when I was I worked in care work for a little bit because I couldn't have children. So I thought, well, I'll go and work with them instead. But it's such a contained environment, you know, and that's for me and for them, you know, and obviously they need that to a certain degree, but it's just, yeah, it's interesting. And I saw like sexism from the other side with someone I know that is male, and you know, it's really, you know, all the women were just like, oh, well, if you get on with the kids, there must be something wrong with you, mustn't there? You know, yeah, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's like what's right for one is not right for another, which is
for sure. I
what you
remember my
feminist stuff.
Yeah, and I remember my eldest son, and he was only about 3 maybe, and he was at nursery, and his dad picked him up, and he rang me and he said, "I've just picked him up from nursery." Okay, he went, "Why was he playing with a doll in a pushchair?" I said, "What happens if he turns out and they went, what to be a good dad?"
Yeah.
And he went, and hung up the phone because he was going to say gay, was what he was going to say. But I immediately, and to me, first of all, there's nothing wrong with being gay, being whoever you want to be. But it was that kind of narrative that he was going to like verbalize to me that playing with a doll in the pram as a young boy is bad because it may lead him to be homosexual when he's older.
Oh my, he might be nurturing, you know, he might just be playing with dolls because somebody else had the action men or whatever. I mean, my Barbie dated an action man. And like my dad only said to me the other week, he went, honestly, he said, like me and my friend when we were growing up, and he was like, he went, you should have been the first Dems, because we were like, we didn't look like little girls. We were covered in mud. We had skateboards. We had BMXs. We were like, oh, really young, jumping on two buses to go to the swimming pool that had the slides in it. You know, it was like, we did it. We climbed trees. We fell out of trees, and I'm so glad we did. I really am. And to be given that freedom and not, I mean, if they'd have tried to put me in a dress, it wouldn't have worked then, and it doesn't work now. You know, I was quite happy running around naked in my wellies. Well done. I don't do that these days, but in my own room, you know. But I don't go out and do that. I'll probably scare too many people these days. But yeah, that given that freedom to be like, and my sister was like really girly. Like we've got, I think COVID brought a lot of that out as well. We've got so many similar values, but we are chalk and cheese, you know, and we were allowed to be. And it's really,
yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? It's allowing to be who you are and who you want to be. And my mum tells the story that she took me to a toy shop when I was about 5, and said, you know, what do you want for Christmas, Kate? Show me, you know, what do you want? Expected me to go to Barbie, dolls, dressing up clothes, makeup, you know, all the things little girls are supposed to like. And I ran off, apparently. I don't really remember this, but she keeps telling everybody. And she heard, "Mummy, mummy, mummy." And she went, "Whoa, what?" She went, and I went, "He-Man." I mean, to be
yeah.
fair, it was like, I should have known that I have a problem with men growing up. But hey, you know, it's a whole story.
No, it's mad, isn't it? It's mad. Mine was
It's,
always just pen and paper and pens and
yeah.
drawing, you know. And even when I was young, I used to do these bee pictures, but they weren't just a picture of a bee. It was an aerial view of a garden with a production line, with buckets hanging up and spades hanging up. And then they'd put the water in the flower to make the honey, and the jars would be.
I feel like I should psychoanalyze you, Sandra, at this point. I should be like, tell me about your childhood, right?
I told you I was dropped on my head. You know,
Oh,
I've got a fantastic relationship with my parents, and you know, I think that makes a big difference as well. It's like I've had good people around me, and all of their friends, and they're all still together. You
yeah.
know, which is a really rare thing, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like. I do think having your tribe by your side really does help as well. You know, it's
Absolutely.
because you know life's going to throw things at you no matter where you're at. You know, it's just about how you deal with them and how you pick yourself back
Absolutely.
up again and get on. So
Absolutely. I love it because all of this, like we've talked about women in business, women in tech, getting older as a woman, what it means to be a feminist, you know, all of these things are basically, you know, what it means to be a woman, really, in
yeah,
this modern world. And I think it's such a valuable conversation that we don't always have. You know, we kind of plod along and try our best to get on with things and actually don't sit down and just kind of have, you know, how do you see the world? How do you see things? What's your experience? And then just because someone has a different experience to you doesn't mean they're wrong or they're bad or you're wrong. It's just we all come to this gender, this reality, with a very different set of beliefs and experiences and personalities and all the things that make us who we are.
definitely, and that, like different traumas and stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
as well. I mean, it was only like a few years ago learning. Like I've done trauma sensitive course, and you know working with vulnerable children and things like that as well. And it's but it's the adults. And I remember like I did this course and I said to them, I said, this is brilliant, this course. I said, but it's brilliant because the people that are providing the care have to change, not the children.
Mm.
I said, but it's going to be really hard because it's the people giving the care that have got to
Yeah.
change and not the children, you know. And it's like that old dog need tricks.
Mm.
And like one of the things which is a really nice thing to share for other people as well is not when a child comes to you and shows you a picture or you know what they've done in a game or whatever it might be, oh mummy or friend or whatever, I've done this, not saying oh well done. You can praise them, but to actually say how does that make you feel before you say well done, you know.
Mm.
And that's where the people pleasing comes in as well. Oh wow, you did great, you know. But are you doing that to get your parents' attention? Because then maybe not necessarily not giving it to you, not even consciously, you know. But if
Yeah.
mum's sitting there on her phone or whatever, dad's at work, or you know, that's a bit of an old school tradition. But that kind of, oh, mum's busy working on her business, you know. It's like I did this because you want that they want that validation,
Yeah.
and to teach them that comes from within rather
Mm.
than from external validation, I think is probably one of the best tools. And everybody point blank went, no, we need to tell them well done. And I was like, you're missing the point.
Yeah, but we know that change is slow. Change sometimes takes time. I always say it's like having the largest cruise liner in the universe and trying to turn it around. You're not going to do it in one go. You have to do it bit by bit and do it slowly. Otherwise you'll crash, right? So it's
More
like when you get
interestingly,
stuck.
we've got the docks just like I've got sea view here and got the docks out the front, and they actually have a couple of boats come in and help steer into
Yeah.
the
That's
into
a really
the
good analogy because that's like sometimes we need other people to help us change instead turn the ship around, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's like that whole tarot thing as well, that with all the different court cards. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're things that you need to bring out in yourself, or they're to meet somebody else that will bring that out in you.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
and understanding that overlap as well, that someone might be really good at one thing and someone might be good at something else, but then team up, collaborate, work
Yeah,
together. It's much more
absolutely,
fun. Much more fun.
absolutely, absolutely, and kind of a nice segue into what you're doing next. So you touched upon it with ProspHER, and I put all the links on about ProspHER as well. So just to
Oh,
kind of complete transparency, I am the events director of the company, and Sandra is our marketing manager. So we both work for ProspHER. So just everyone's clear. But from
well,
your perspective,
we
what
work.
is work?
We love being part of the community. I think is a better.
Yeah, for sure. But what was it about ProspHER that really lights you up and makes you want to kind of make this a part of your own journey now?
So, I mean, I've been a bit of a lone wolf over the years, and I love people. I really love people, and I do love collaborating. And one thing that made me realize as well was stepping away from the care work, because I'd kind of gone off on a tangent, because it wasn't a poor me choice. It was a, maybe this is what I'm meant to be doing, helping other children
Yeah,
rather than having them myself. And then it was like, I'd already spoke. Well, we'd touched base online when the Colchester event became available, and we had a good chat. I knew that I couldn't take on both at the same time. I only had so much to give. So that was kind of one of my first boundaries putting in place, because I was so excited. I really wanted to come on board then. And I was like, you can't do it all. So then when that ended, you was the first person I contacted.
yeah,
Literally the first person I contacted. And I was like, because we just hit it off. We've had like very different backgrounds, but also on that same level, want
yeah.
the same things. And I had this realization as well, that the one thing that I'm really good at, and maybe I need to reframe this, is I'm a great right hand man. And that's the thing. I've, like, no matter how much I like to have my own business, and when I sit back and evaluate that, I think, well, that comes from a place of ego, doesn't it, that it's all mine. And I've mentioned ego a couple of times, and I totally get that ego has, got us to where we are today
Yeah.
and saves us, and we need an ego. But at the same point, to go and be that right hand girl, whatever you want to call it, right hand witch, is that kind of, that's where I'm well positioned.
Mm.
And going to do something else and having that break from what I normally do as well, similar with the merchandising stuff as well. It's like having a break from what you do, especially when you work for yourself, or whether you're a part of a team or not, to go and do something completely different is the time that you get that thinking time as well, whether
Mm.
it's traveling to somewhere or whatever. And yeah, speaking to you, I was just so aligned. And then we started talking. I took over the Chelmsford event, and then it was kind of like chatting in the group, chatting with Serena, and it was like, you do know I do this, you do know I do that. And I literally walked away after I said, like, UX is like one of my passions, and design and branding and you name it. And I'd met up with my parents for lunch the next day, and I went, I've got a funny feeling something's going to come up from this.
Yeah.
And it was just so, and it's not about money. It's not about that. I want to see us get to the next round of funding. I
Yeah.
want to see us get out to more people. This is 10 years in the making, and
Yeah.
Serena's put blood, sweat, and tears into it, quite literally. And
Yeah.
she's still going, and she's been through some major health stuff herself.
Mm.
How long have you actually been with ProspHER? I can't actually remember.
Well,
I just
I
assume you've
met,
always been there.
I very synchronistically, we came back together. We were friends first in 2018, 2019. She had her business revolution then. And then, we didn't fall out or nothing. We just lost touch with each other. We're both mums, we're both busy working. And then COVID
Happens.
happened. COVID happened, of course, and that just messed everybody up. And then we were brought back together through a very kind of serendipitous, synchronized kind of way. And October 22 was when we first reconnected. And I then did the Norwich event in September 23. And after that, I was then made the events director of the company. So, yeah, it's been a journey myself with ProspHER. And like you, just so aligned with what she's trying to do. So, you
Yeah.
know,
And
passion, purpose, and power, right?
yeah, totally. And you know, bringing people together that have that same view, I think it helps everybody stay grounded, you know, as well as like that high flying. It's like, right, what can we achieve? What can we do right now?
Yeah.
And that kind of, because everybody is responsible for what they're doing and they believe in it, you don't like, there's no micromanaging. I can't stand that. I really can't stand micromanaging. I mean, all right, sometimes everybody needs a kick up the bum or a reminder. That's fair enough. But it's about being able to shine at doing what you do.
Yeah, exactly. And having a container where everybody feels like they're bringing their best selves to that, and their skills and their experiences and their abilities, you know, all these things really help and are really important. So it's just nice to be a part of something like that, you know?
Yeah, and the community. I mean, like, obviously, because I'm looking at all the branding and all the messaging and everything like that, and it's like 121 courses. 121 courses over 11 different subjects, you know, so it's mind, body, soul, but it's accounting, it's marketing, it's, you name it, it's in there. And
Yeah.
that to me is just like, I've seen some inner workings, and I'm not going to name drop anybody, but I've seen some inner workings of some of these so-called brilliant memberships out there, and it's not a patch on what's there, on what's coming. And it's something that I really do believe in. Definitely, I
Yeah,
have to
me
believe
too.
in something to do it, definitely. And
Well,
I
me
love
too, me
it.
too. Yeah, absolutely. I'm exactly the same. Again, it all comes back again, like I said earlier, about that intention, right? That why. And it's like I'm working with a company that has that very clear intention is just wonderful. So I
It's
love it. I
top
love it.
down. It
Yeah,
is literally
definitely.
top down, isn't it? But
Definitely.
also that not that there is no hierarchy, because obviously we all respect each other and everything like that, but it is that respect as well, rather than it's what can you bring to the table and how can you help us flourish. And in all fairness, I mean, doing the events and everything like that, I mean, the database that I'm personally building up as well, I mean, it's interesting. And I think thanks to yourself, Serena, ProspHER, getting involved with the Winning Women Essex as well, and doing that talk the other day, I think I finally found my thing that I'm going to push at.
Love
Yeah.
it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, bless you.
It's all
And
been
I'm really
floating around
happy.
in the ether. It's
I'm
just,
really
it feels
happy
a
to
bit more
support you in that
tangible
space.
now.
It's awesome. It's awesome. So
I bet we could
no,
days.
it's going to be, and watching you grow and watching you continue to shine is just, it's heartwarming. So, but
Likewise.
I hope this conversation like sparks something in the people watching it. So if they want to reach out to you directly, where can we find you? Where are you online? Give us all the good stuff.
I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me as Sandra Anderson. You can find me as Bridget Ashbourne. I'm on Instagram as Ashbourne Witch. On ProspHER, obviously. I'm on Facebook. I'm pretty much everywhere. Do you know what I mean? It's just
I'll
one
post
name or
all the
another.
hundreds of links underneath this video. So go and find her if you want to connect with her.
Just have a search for crazy one with curly hair. You know, you'll find
You'll
me
find
somewhere.
her.
But I have just bought the domain name Elements of Business as well. So that is where I'm going to be creating my space.
Epic. Well, look, Sandy, thank you so much, darling, for having this time with me and having this chat. It's been fab. I mean, we got there in the end, right? We got there with all the tech issues and the kid issues. We got there in the end. Thank you so much, my darling, seriously. And it's been a great chat, and it would be. So thank you.
Lovely. I'll speak to you soon. Take care.
Yes, and thank you everybody for watching. I hope they say this lit you up. I hope it's given you something to take away, something to think about. If you want to find out more about Sandy or about ProspHER, all of the links down here, so go and check them out. And I will definitely speak to you on the next one. Big love. Bye.
Take care. Bye.